Join the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra on March 22nd at 7:30 p.m. for Revelation in the Capitol Theater, featuring the world premiere of Symphony No. 14 Revelation by Dr. Bill Banfield. Guests include the Madison Youth Choirs, the Festival Choir of Madison, and more. Go get your tickets online at overture.org/WCO. Hello in there. Can you hear me? Bianca here, your shiny host of CityCast Madison. So we're in our first ever official membership campaign, and I am glowing because y'all are coming through. We're already getting new besties and friends rolling in, and we're tickled pink. Thank you to Daniel. Thank you, Bryn. Thank you, Christine, Lauren, James, Lee, and Linda. Thank you, Kathy, who just joined our membership program and said, podcast and newsletter do a great job informing me about current news and activities. It's really one of the best ways to stay informed about happenings in the city. Y'all, not only am I filled with pride, I'm stoked because CityCast Madison Camp is growing stronger. People who love our city and are dedicated to local news and happenings are coming together behind us as a key local resource. If you're someone who loves this podcast, maybe I even met you walking in the street or sitting next to you at a bar, and you made a point to tell me how much the podcast means to you, trust me, it's mutual. Everyone at CityCast Madison loves this city and the people in it. So, won't you be my neighbor? Sign up to become a CityCast Madison member. Help CityCast Madison live long and prosper. If you do, you can get our show ad-free, insider updates and content, and our weekly members-only events roundup newsletter. So, you in? Become a member of CityCast Madison today at madison.citycast.fm. We so appreciate it. See ya in these streets. Today on CityCast Madison. What supports do Madisonians returning from jail or prison need to re-enter our community? And not just re-enter, but succeed. Two local leaders who've been through the system have a strong idea. And their vision is the basis of a new pilot program called Build Up, a collaboration between Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development and UW-Madison. We sat down with one of its leaders, Aaron Hicks, to learn about the pilot. It's Wednesday, March 20th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Aaron, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been looking forward to this conversation because it's near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate you joining us. You're leading a collaboration called Build Up. Tell us what Build Up is.
Well, it's designed to work with individuals coming home from prison and from jail. And it's designed for two things. One part is we understand that when you come home from prison, there are some internal things that you need to work on, as well as some external things. So, for example, part of our decision-making comes from a lot of our core beliefs, things that people have told us that may not be very true, but they have imparted inside of us. And those things have a way in which they fester. And I'll just give you an example. I come from a single-parent family. My mom had MS. She was a quadriplegic. I never knew my father at all. And throughout my journey, throughout life, one thing I thought about myself was that I didn't think I had the ability to learn. So that looked at how I wore that or how I walked in that because I was told that. I started to operate under that belief system. And it didn't come from my home. It came from a lot of researchers basically saying that based on how your life is, based on you being in a single parent family home, not knowing your father, and already you're getting in trouble, the likelihood of you succeeding is almost slim to none. And so because of that, I kind of walked in that. Because I walked in that and I believed in that, I believe strongly that there are a lot of individuals out in our community who also walk in that and feel that way. And so Build Up is really taking that and turning that into something else, showing people that they do bring value to the table, that they are not just valuable, but they also have a place in this world to make change, that you can learn, right? We all learn very differently. But with that being said, though, I would never tell a young person, specifically children, that you don't have the ability to learn, that you can't contribute nothing to society. That's a horrible thing to say to any person. And so part of this buildup is really changing that narrative. And it's utilizing wisdom from myself as well as Frank Davis. He's also a part of this. Him and I both did some significant time inside of prison. And so these are things that we didn't have. These are things that we feel like individuals need to know. And we also believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, by them going through this, it would be a game changer.
So you said that you yourself were in the carceral system. You were incarcerated for much of your adult life. And I heard your conversation with the incomparable Alex G. So I saw that you when you were 15, for much of your life, that you have just been in and around the system. And now you're turning back to try and make change for others.
That's correct.
Can you talk about what's the need like here in Madison?
So there's a lot I'm learning, and there's a lot of need here in Madison. But I think it's deeper than Madison because initially, we have systems in play, and these systems have been designed in a very strategic way. I know you're interviewing me, but the question I would ask you is, do you believe we have a broken system?
Yes, absolutely.
And so I only ask you that because if I'm in a classroom, if I'm anywhere, I ask people that question. And the reason I ask the question is because whenever you think broken, your automatic knee-jerk response is it can be fixed. But if I told you that the system was doing what it was designed to do, your whole perspective changes. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. And it's not until we embrace and understand that we can really start to make a change. And I'll give you a case in point. So I was talking to a judge. Him and I built an amazing relationship. And in this relationship, we talk about some hard things, right? And he said to me, he never took on the position of becoming a judge to lock up Black people. And I said, I believe you wholeheartedly. I said, if that was the case, we could take you out of the equation, put somebody else in the equation, and guess what? Black people wouldn't be getting locked up. But that's not the case. How the system is designed, it doesn't matter who's in position. If I take on the position of a judge, guess what I'm going to be doing? Locking up people of color. Why is that the case? Because the system has been designed strategically for that. If I wanted to become a police officer, guess who I would be locking up? Primarily people of color. The question is, well, why would that be the case? Because the system is designed for that. Another case in point, there's no way possible for the state of Wisconsin. We make up probably about 7, maybe 7.5% of people of color. But in the incarceral system, we make up the biggest percentage. And none of that stuff is by oops. We made a mistake. There's not error in that. That's designed that way. So when people think the system is broken, absolutely not.
This is really fascinating. I'm so grateful that you brought it up. A lot of people, and I think a lot of the system, puts the onus on the individual. And this program Build Up, which I want to understand more and hear about, what you're offering, is, if I understand it correctly, it will be supports for people re-entering society. And ideally to keep folks from returning back into the system. I want to get into, the Build Up program, but is that any of the mindset, like how we change the systems to help people re-enter? That sounds like it's going to have to be a core part of at least the larger movement, maybe not Build Up, but the larger conversation of how we reduce recidivism and how we actually make a sustainable chance to bring folks back from incarceration without the fear of having to just go back in or that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. So Build Up is designed in a very strategic way. We understand that 90 to 95% of people who go to prison or jail, guess what? They will get back out. So getting out is really not the issue. Creating a space and a place where people can stay out. Sustainability, right? How do we sustain these things, right? Let me say it this way. Being able to acclimate individuals into the society in a very real and a right way. So being able to connect them to employment, being in connection with homeowners and, housing authorities so that these individuals can create sustainability. Because it's not like people want to go back to prison, but if there's so many obstacles that they have to run up against and don't know how to navigate all of these different obstacles, it's very easy to say, you know what, just send me back because I can't handle it, because it's obstacle after obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, right? And so really Build Up has a very real way in which it's helping them walk through those obstacles and being able to bring out the richness within themselves, right? Because we believe that greatness is in every individual. And it's not until greatness calls out to greatness that you get a game changer, because people don't believe that they're valuable. They don't believe that they matter, their life matter, what they bring to the table matters, that they do bring value to the table. And so we really want to tap into those areas so that people know beyond a shadow of a doubt, not only do they matter, but they also bring value to the table. And their voice needs to be heard like every other voice needs to be heard. And so that's really what we're doing. And we're also creating a space and a place so that people can be able to have sustainability, right? Because
Right.
most people ask individuals coming home, well, you got to find a job. And so one thing I like to do is, what does a career look like to you, right? Because probably nobody's asking those type of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does a business look like to you? And being able to connect them to business owners, being able to connect them to individuals who are doing the very things in which they want to do. I do a group called Man Up. And in Man Up, I had a young man in there, no more than probably about 18 or 19, and he was in Dane County Jail, and he began to write a book, and he shared it with me. And so because he shared that with me, I connected him to people who were writing books, right?
Yeah.
So that we can make it real to that individual, that this is actually something doable and it can be a career for you.
This episode is brought to you by JLL. Get an insider view into the world of commercial real estate with JLL's podcast, Trends and Insights, the Future of Commercial Real Estate. Whether you're curious about making cities more sustainable, the evolution of office space, or AI opportunities, this podcast will help keep you a step ahead. Tune in for candid conversations with business leaders about the biggest trends impacting how we live, work, and play. Subscribe to Trends and Insights now at jll.com/podcast.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
And so Build Up is a partnership between Nehemiah and UW-Madison. Can you talk about what's the structure? I saw something about that you would be doing sessions. Can you talk about what the programming will be?
Yeah, so the initial couple of sessions will be just giving people the historical facts about incarceration itself, where it derives from. What is the mindset behind that, right? So we just want to give them just that so people can have a clear and concise understanding about those things. And then we want to tap into individuals, their core beliefs, things that they may have grown up believing. So I'll give you an example. For myself, one of my core beliefs was, which was given to me, I didn't ask for it, but it was given to me. If someone ever called you a nigger, you whoop their ass, period. Right? That was something that was handed down to me. I don't see life through that lens anymore, but growing up, that was the lens that I was taught, that was given to me, right? And so there are values that people have handed down to them that have never been examined, have never been challenged. And so it's really about, what are your values? What are your morals? One of the things I believe strongly is, one of the things we talk about in these sessions that we will be talking about is identity. Okay, so the courts have told them who they are. In these institutions, they've told them who they are. And I hear all of that. But now my question for every person that comes through there is, who do you say that you are? That's a question that's not normally asked to any of us. And so being able to give them a space and a place that they can actually identify themselves versus what society has said, versus as what the courts have said, the PO, whoever else, right? Now it's time for them to find out, who are they? Because I'm a strong believer, without an identity, you don't have direction. It's not until I understand who I am, now I understand where I'm going.
Right. This is just such a rich conversation, and I am resonating with so much of what you're saying. And I really want to ask about, in terms of reentry, thinking about folks who come in to the system often are coming from a space like you shared about yourself, single mom, she had MS, like places that are already challenged, have challenges, maybe like lower resources, what have you. One of the things is top of mind for me is when individuals go on to, become incarcerated, they could have debt. Do y'all have any component to build up thinking about how to help folks who are re-entering navigate the world? It sounded like maybe connecting with jobs, that sort of thing. Like, is the financial picture a part of this? Because, a lot of crimes, most crimes, what folks are in, it's not a violent crime. It's related to, money, selling drugs or theft, that sort of thing.
Yes, so that is one of our modules, and that's more towards the end. But it was designed that way because we felt strongly about tapping into some core beliefs first and foremost, coming up with strategic ways. How can we restructure what you have been taught and believed for so long? It's not an easy task, right? That's a tall order, but really challenging those things and just kind of leaving it for, the goal is not to do it for them, but for them to have their own aha moment. And so, again, really bringing out the richness in the individual versus as, we didn't have people tell us what to do and how to go about doing it and when you can and when you can't. So we don't want to create that kind of space or that kind of place, but we really want to create a space where at least when you're hearing some of these things, the hope is that you will have your own, each individual will have their own aha moment, right? Because there are barriers, there are challenges, but now most barriers come more from within than they do from without. Even though we understand that, do we have systems that make things difficult? Absolutely. But despite that, we also know that there are people who have navigated through all of these systems and have done some amazing and great things. And so because we understand that piece, we don't think that obstacles is wrong, and we don't want people to not have to have obstacles, but we want to be able to show people that despite whatever obstacle you have in your life, you have the ability to overcome it. And so that's what we want to give people, that richness.
That makes so much sense. I heard a bit of your story with your conversation with Alex G, and it sounded like in Wisconsin, there tends to be, the time that you spend in the correctional facility, and then when you come out and you can still be incarcerated, that you're still under supervision. And it sounded like you had the experience of some of the ways they were supervising you through, ankle bracelets, or that it was just hell. They sent you back not just one or two times, but dozens of times. And that seems so disruptive. Are any folks who will be going into the build-up program in that portion, like where they're not completely done with their sentence?
I'm pretty sure it will be individuals like that. Not all. Some may have already finished. But in any case, though, all of this is very volunteer. So every person that gets involved in this, they're not court ordered. They don't have to do it at any given time. If they want to opt out, they have that right to do just that. But with that all being said, though, I honestly don't believe anyone will opt out. I do know that it will be in some ways challenging, but I also know it's a good challenge, right? It's not a challenge where it's not doable, where it's not possible. It's a challenge for an individual to look at themselves. And that's one of the hardest things for people. We can see everybody else's flaws and where they fall short. It's very difficult when you have to look into the mirror and see self, right? And I hope I can say it the way I see it, but the way I see it is that I try to share with people, everybody takes a shit, everybody's shit stink. Like nobody is running around here flawless under the Perfection Act. We all fall short in some way, shape, or form. And with that being said, you don't have to be hard on yourself or tear yourself down. If you fall, get back up. Because we will. That's part of our life journey, And what makes you a conqueror, what makes you strong, what makes you resilient is your ability to recognize when I have fallen, but I have to continue to keep getting back up, right? And I just believe as people, as a society, we don't have a right to look down on a person unless we're extending a hand to lift them up. So that's the agenda.
Man, I need episode 2, 3, and 4 with you. This is so powerful. Last question before we let you go. If there was one thing you wished the community understood better about the carceral system, what would it be?
This one thing is hard for me.
Or the first thing that comes to your mind.
I want communities to know that despite what any individual has done, it does not define who they are. And redemption is possible for all people. I understand when we think about incarceration, we think about a building, a prison or a jail, but I understand that incarceration starts in the mind way before you ever get into a prison. There's people who are in our community currently who may never see a prison, very much incarcerated. And so our agenda is really to bring liberation so that people can be set free. So people know that the impossible is very much possible. That's what I want people to know. These people still have value. They still have merit. They still bring some greatness to the table. And we need to explore those things.
Well, Aaron, thank you so much for sharing about the Build Up program and dropping all the wisdom that you did. This was extremely powerful, and we're grateful for your time.
Man, it's a blessing. I appreciate you. If you need me ever again, please feel free. Don't be bashful. I got you.
I won't. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That's Aaron Hicks, co-leader of the coming re-entry program Build Up and director of Man Up with the Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with someone who supported your belief in yourself? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then,